Today is May 20th, 2025. My name is Bobby Goodman, and I am interviewing Howard Cohen about his days at the Columbian Club. Welcome, Howard.
Bobby, it's a great pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Let's just jump in, Howard. My first question to you is, when were you a member of the Columbian Club? When did you join, and how long were you there?
Interesting enough, we moved, Carol Jean and I, moved with our first child, Cohen. She was 1 year old, to Dallas in 1970, and I immediately applied to the club, and this was around May the 1st, and I got accepted in August after they posted my name on the board and nobody objected. So I was a member, and at that time the club had 585 members, of which I think about 500 were seniors and maybe 85 junior intermediates, and being under 35 or so, we got a little discount towards the membership.
So that was in 1970?
1970.
And how long were you a member of the club?
I was a member of the club until the day it dissolved, and then afterwards, because I was an honorary member at that time, the new owner invited me to be an honorary member there until he decided he didn't want me to be an honorary member anymore.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a story in itself. So you mentioned that when you joined, membership looked about 500 of the 585 or close to that were more senior, and the rest were more about your age?
Yeah, junior and intermediate.
Oh, junior and
I was
intermediate.
30 at the time, or 29.
So, Howard, tell me, why did you decide to join the Columbian Club?
Well, I wanted to, Carol Jean and I decided we wanted to have a nice sized family, and thank God we wound up with 4 kids. The first 3 were Irish triplets. So when we moved to Dallas, Kay was 1, and we were going to have Scott in November. He was 2, and then a year and a half later, we had Wendy for 3. And we knew the club was great socially. It had wonderful activities, whether it was fishing, swimming, tennis, or golf. It was a great place to raise kids, and our kids were able to take tennis lessons, swimming lessons, and I remember taking them when Scott or Kay was 5, Scott was 4, and Wendy was 2.5, and we'd all go swimming on Saturday, and I'd go in the men's locker room with all 3 of them. I'd have a lifeguard guard the door, so the 4 of us as a family would take a shower together, undress them, and then the rest of the people could come in.
That's awesome. So, do you think at the time in 1970 when you actually joined, did anti-Semitism play into your decision at all to join the club?
Well, I wanted to join a fine country club, not a golf club, but a country club. And a country club has a lot of social activities, and the social activities are more than the athletic activities. And the Columbian Club was the only option, because there were 3 other fine clubs in Dallas, but none of them would have been interested in reading my application.
Because you were Jewish?
Correct.
I see, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your relationship with the Columbian Club.
Well, as soon as I joined, first year, they sent a letter out, join a committee. So I joined the golf cart committee, and it happened to be that Bobby Goodman's uncle, Melvin Aronoff, was president of the club at the time. And so he asked me to do some research into different golf carts and whether we should rent them, own them, etc. So I did a full-scale report like you would do for a master's dissertation. He said, "You did all this?" I said, "Yeah, why?" I said, "Well, you wanted the report, now you could figure out what to do." He said, "You're on the board." And he put me on the board after I was a member a few years. And then I was elected to be treasurer of the club. And then I went right up, and that was in 1977. So in 1979, I was secretary, and 81 I was vice president under Mickey Rubin, who was a great friend and a phenomenal guy. And then when I was going to become president, I decided maybe I shouldn't be. So I called our general manager and said, "Harold, we need to talk. And this is very serious. I love you and I love your family, and I don't want to be around when stuff hits the fan. And I've, observed some things, and some other people have, and I think the only way I could become president if you were not the general manager." So 2 days later, he calls me up with his letter of resignation. He accepted a job in San Antonio, so it was all great timing. And off he went, And we hired a guy named Ken Rubin after going through 90 applicants.
Wow.
And he came over and did a phenomenal job and helped me remodel the club, where we went through a remodeling period where we assessed the members, and we spent a couple $1 million and made the place updated and made it look pretty.
And you said that was in
1983 and 1984.
Wow. So your involvement with the Columbian Club was at every single level of the board.
It was, and all four, and then immediate past president after that. So I was on the board for 12 years.
Big changes in that 12 years
Yes,
of...
there was, and we always had a waiting list, and half of our members were all senior members. Everybody paid the full dues, the same initiation fee, but only half of the people played golf. But they supported the club because it was a social club for Jewish families. We had the best gourmet nights on Thursday night. We had the best brunches on Sunday, the best fried chicken on Wednesday, best bingo on Thursday in the summertime, and great swimming, great social for the kids. Our kids took tennis lessons, golf lessons. Some of them became, good, and everyone excelled in something. And I was just there to pay the fee and enjoy them and watch them enjoy it. And we had 4 bar mitzvah celebrations there, 3 rehearsal dinners there, Sweet 16 party, and everything for the kids was surrounded around the kids.
Sounds like the Columbian Club was a central part of your social life.
And it was also an extension of our home.
Oh, very nice.
Because a lot of our friends had kids, children, same age as our children, and they all joined the club. And it was just terrific until the bottom fell out.
So we'll get to the bottom falling out here in a second, but I was going to ask you, obviously the importance of the club to you personally and to your family was paramount. Your kids all grew up out there.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of, was it a safe place?
Absolutely. You never saw anybody smoking the wrong thing on the golf course. You knew when your kids went out there, and Scott started playing golf when he was 5, and John Darling was the pro, and he taught him how to play. And one day Scott comes home and said, "Dad," he said, "I hit the ball on number 6 onto the green over the lake." Really? The next day he said, "I hit the ball on number 11 over the water onto the fairway." I said, "Really?" He said, "Come out and watch me." And so John gave him lessons, and he would play with John's son. And the first thing that he says, "What'd you learn from John?" He said, "The most important thing is you must count every stroke. If I ever catch you not counting every stroke, I'm not giving you any lessons, and you can't play out here anymore."
Wow. That's
so
a pretty
I'll
good
tell you a
life lesson
story.
there.
So Scott and I were playing in a member tournament. It was a rainy day against 2 guys named Skybell. And it was drizzling, and we were on a playoff hole. It was a par 3 on the back. And Scott hit his ball in the left side in the bank, left side of the creek. He's looking around. He says, "Oh, there's a Titleist 7. It's me." I said, "What do I do?" I said, "Just knock it up there."